Hello and welcome to Alive After Reading. I'm your host, Tim Niederreiter, and with me today is a guest to the podcast who is not new to me, but new to the show, DC Gomez. Welcome to the
Hello,
podcast.
dear. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you. And oh, yeah, I forgot to mention, but this is the Halloween episode because I'm now a fan of scary things in a way that I wasn't before. Like horror movies, but also being just a little chill down the spine, getting a little chill down the spine, that kind of stuff. Scary things. Now, DC, you told me you don't actually write horror, but you love Halloween, so that's good enough for me. But what sort of stuff do you write?
So I normally get grouped into the horror elements because I do have elements of horror. I do ghosts, I have demons and all that fun stuff, but I don't technically consider myself a horror author. I'm a little chicken. I'm no issues admitting.
Well, neither do I. Honestly. I write fantasy.
I am an urban fantasy, for the most part, author. So I have multi-genres. I can do everything from children's books. I have done devotionals, contemporary lit. I have dark humor. So a lot of the things I write are mixed in that whole aspects of action adventure with a lot of quirky characters and lots of undercurrents of dark comedy. So that's usually what my niche is. But I'm from Salem, Massachusetts, so Halloween is in the blood. I love it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Salem. No, awful stuff happened there back in the day, but now we enjoy it.
I actually went home for the weekend, so I can tell you I was a little shocked because I haven't been home in October in decades at this one time in my life. So walking up and I'm like, oh my God, this has changed so much. So yes, it's an interesting town to be.
Yeah, there's a lot of, out east coast United States, that region. I think of it as the East Coast because I'm from the Midwest, but hey, whatever. Anything east of Pennsylvania is the coast to me. But yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think I guess maybe that's not that controversial. But anyway, I've never been out there very much, but it does strike me as being a fairly creepy kind of mood. Maybe it's just because the only thing people I'm familiar with from out there do write horror and creepy things, or are older school, like Stephen King and H.P. Lovecraft, that kind of old guys who wrote a bunch of horror things,
So he is in Maine. There's not much you can say. It is up north.
That's true.
I always think of the Northeast as more of the postcard kind of picture. You have the snow kind of falling. Yeah. It is very gorgeous in the fall. You have all the leaves changing. It is definitely magical. There's something in the air that just kind of takes your breath away. Or maybe it's just the cold. I don't know. Pick one.
Maybe that's what I'm picking up on, because we have trees out here, but I am on the Great Plains. So we don't have as many of them as you might think. Well, you might think we don't have a lot. We don't. Minnesota it has a similar vibe in the winter, but it gets really bleak here sometimes too. It's even really heavy because we have a lot of lakes, but we don't have an ocean.
Yeah, I know. At least in Salem.
So it gets cold here.
We get the cold, but you get the seasons changing, and you get the ocean, and you get just kind of that feel of I have stepped into that postcard feel of New England that is just breathtaking.
Yeah. Okay. So I've never been to New England, so maybe I'm just explaining my prejudice. Anyways, against New England. So anyway, yeah. What have you been working on lately as far as your fiction?
I have a new book that just came out, which is it's so exciting because it's my first novel in 2 years. So it's interesting because I've been doing short stories. I've been doing all these projects. So it's called Cursed by Fur. And it's part of the Once Upon a Curse series, which I'm kind of excited. So there's 9 authors. We all wrote novels. And they're all spicy retellings. So it's all spicy retelling of fairy tales. So when my dear friend invited me to participate, I'm like, what does spicy mean? Let's talk about this. Because I don't write spicy. I'm not the girl who's been known for writing romance or spicy. So it needs to have an open sex scene. I'm like, okay, that should be a little different, but I can do this.
Yeah, doable, right? Maybe, yeah, swing that one.
Pull that off, and I'm like, what else? It's does it have to be romance? She's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, thinking urban fantasy with my Reapers crew, and I want a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood, right? So here's my take.
Cool. Good choice.
Isn't she suspicious? Am I the only one who thinks she's suspicious? What is this little...
Oh, Red?
What is this little girl
Hood?
doing in the middle of the woods by herself and magically kills this, wolf? I'm like, can we talk about this? She's suspicious. So
she's the real monster.
That's kind of my take on it. So we have a serial killer, a little Black Widow serial killer going crazy in Texarkana here in Texas, East Texas.
Okay.
So you have an interesting take on a very classic that is not as sweet as people think. And the body count just keeps falling.
You mean rising, or the bodies keep falling, the count keeps rising?
That, maybe.
Or maybe a little bit of one, a little bit of the other.
Which way you want to do it? There's a whole bunch of people dying.
Good. Okay. Well, I say good, but hey, it's a story. We can say that. No, I mean it's funny because actually I haven't written a lot of brutal violence in a while, and I was getting to it because I'm writing a dark fantasy right now. It originally was supposed to be grim dark, and now it's just kind of like
dark,
just high fantasy grim dark.
Yeah,
now it's just regular dark. Yeah, now it's just regular dark, but it's got a little bit more of an epic tone to it. But I felt so bad for the guy who lost his arm, even that I'm like, how am I going to get? And he was just an extra. He was just a dude who was in one of my character's way, and then. Now his arm's on the floor, and but this is sword and sorcery stuff. You
expect that to happen. Let's be honest. That's the kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna happen to somebody. Yeah,
I was told because we're doing a collection. So one of the things that is now happening is you need to tell triggers. Like, what are some of your triggers? What are some of your tropes? Yeah. All that fun stuff that you do. And trigger number one is it's not a romance because the other 90% of the books in this series are. So it's not a romance.
It's kind of a cool twist to throw in there, though. It's have that in a collection. It's this one's different from the other ones.
That's it became kind of be a little palate cleanser. This is definitely one.
Yeah,
and it has a wild twist at the end that readers are going, I did not see that coming. What happened? And they're like, what? And so I'm having that emotional moment that people wow, okay. So this is the book. If you enjoy quirky characters and action pack, and it's a full cast, this is people coming and going left and right. It's an amazing story. You do not have to read the beginning books in the series. It is part of the same universe, which is the Intern Diaries. So it's in that universe. But you get to meet some of my favorite characters just causing shenanigans and trouble.
I love it when characters get out of control in a book. Yeah. Especially when they're, not saying they necessarily ran away from you, but they're just constantly in each other's business and stuff. That's always fun.
Imagine a town of supernatural underneath a town of humans with two people trying to control it so the humans don't find out. So my reapers are trying to keep the supernaturals under control. It is a Halloween story because it takes place around Halloween. We got Constantine, who's a talking cat, who's going to have to step in and, put some order in this madness, and a whole bunch of shenanigans that is just fun action. That was just make you go, what?
Nice. Sounds really interesting. Actually, you know what's reminding me of? It's obviously very different, but it reminds me a little bit of, especially with the talking cat part. Is reminding me of this book I read last October, it was by one of my favorite authors, God rest his soul, but Roger Zelazny, who wrote this book called, I think it was his last novel, A Night in the Lonesome October, which is designed to be read it's 30 chapters long, 31 chapters. So it's one day, one night for each night in October. You're supposed to read one chapter.
That is awesome.
It's just such a clever design. And it's about the familiars of a bunch of weird wizards and stuff in this kind of London situation. It's like Gaslamp London. And Jack the Ripper is the main character's master. He's like a wizard in this, and he's not real. He might not even be a serial killer. It's hard to tell. But his dog is the main character.
Oh, that is so cool.
and his pals with a cat. That's Anyway, the cat is the second. Is his rival.
I'm in.
It's a great book. I encourage people to read that one. It was hard. It was kind of hard to track it down for a long time, but I find it's in ebook now. So I just wanted to mention that to people because I was reading it about this time last year. I'm not sure if I mentioned it. I probably mentioned it a bunch since then because I really loved it. But that one, especially the final chapter, which of course takes place on Halloween, is insane.
You're going to do a book.
And in a good way.
You're going to do a book taking place in Halloween. Your last chapter has to have some chaos going on just to make you go,
oh, yeah.
Happened? So, yes.
Yeah. But when I write, but the short story I've been diverted from my novel to right now is kind of, I was like, I want to really, it's the pre-order set for Halloween. That's what's on my mind a little bit more this year, maybe in part. And I haven't written the whole thing yet. So this is kind of the weird part. I know the clock is ticking.
I was like, let me go look.
It's a short story. So it's almost done.
What makes you feel better?
It's almost done.
You feel better. You got this. You can do this.
Yeah, I'm not trying to stress you out,
like,
DC.
Wait, do you know Halloween's like around the corner? I was like, wait.
It is, but it takes me about a week to write a short story like this and get it polished up. It worked really well with the last one that had the similar situation.
I work great under pressure. I don't know if everybody does the same.
It doesn't feel like much pressure. The story's only going to be 3,000, 4,000 more words.
Oh, you're good. You got this.
Yeah, no, it's short. It's real short. It's not like a novella or anything even. 20 pages tops.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
You're good.
Yeah. Not to worry. I'll probably do it all in one day when I get down to it. Do all about half of it at least that I have left. That's the total is 4,000 words. I've already got some. Anyway, not just trying to constantly allay your fears here, but your nervousness for me. But my pre-orders are, historically kind of hard to. I don't work very well under pressure, honestly, but I also don't work at all when not under pressure.
That's a good balance.
So it's like you take one or you take the other.
It's a good balance. At least it motivates you to get stuff done.
Yep. Anyway, but this one is kind of, it's high fantasy. It's in the same setting as my big sword and sorcery novel that I've been working on. And it's kind of like ancient Egypt meets feudal Japan. Ooh. is the culture. But that means we basically have a culture of warriors with big old swords and pyramids and stuff. Kind of just mash those two together.
I like it.
I think it's going to be fun. I mean, so far the book's been really fun. And people like the short story I released in it when there's magic and stuff and all this sort of thing. Big giant, and for some reason I felt like doing this, but this is a minor spoiler for the novel, but there are also giant ferret-like creatures that people ride on sometimes because I just wanted to do it in certain places. They're kind of rare.
I like it.
Yeah. But some places you need a giant vermin to ride on.
I've been reading lots of stories and they have giant spiders. And I'm like, that's not a good visual. Mm-hmm. I cannot handle that. I do not want to know.
Yeah.
Don't want to ride a giant spider.
No, then you might not like the first chapter of my my science fiction-y Pillar Universe book, Origin of Storms. It involves a giant spider.
Why?
As do actually many things in that series, because the way that universe is shaped, it's like an alternative physics book. People have to eat a lot of spider meat because there's not a lot of places where you can raise cattle-sized animals that aren't vertical. It's a long story.
There's giant spiders. Okay, giant spiders.
But they're cattle.
Good.
In this book. They have spider cattle, which it makes them seem kind of cute at that point, maybe. I don't know. But then you still have to eat them, so it's really no good. You don't have to eat them. You can be vegetarian.
I'm going to be thinking about this for a minute. I'm like, let me process. I have a giant spider that could be my pet, but could be dinner as well. Yeah.
I mean, hey, it's normal, right? I mean, the funny part is that later on in that book, sorry, I don't know why I'm just babbling incoherently now, but later on in that book, that's what people will tune into this podcast for. Later on in that book, they go there, they get to this place where they find a normal dog, and the main character has never seen one before because they don't exist in most places in that setting.
Are they afraid of the dog?
And no, the dog's it's a domesticated dog that the people there have raised. So it's like, wow, this is an awesome animal. I wonder what we do without how would you buy without these things? It's like he knows he's supposed to be your friend. It's that kind of thing. It's like amazing. But yeah, anyway, I thought that was a nice twist. It's like, yeah, you've seen the weird animals, now let's see a normal one.
And then see the characters be confused by the normal ones, and they're like, what is that thing?
Yeah, it's got big floppily ears or whatever. I don't know. Not all dogs have those, but I like to think they should.
And they're friendly and just want to play with you. I like.
Yes. But anyway, so the story, though, that I'm working on involves a pyramid and some mummies that may or may not come to life or be cursed to never die.
You have mummies. You might as well do it. Like, it kind of comes with a...
Yeah, I think so, right? I mean, you got to do it. You got to have them.
If you're going to have them, you might as well go all out.
Oh, they're warrior mummies, I think, for the most part. But there is one child mummy that I think is going to be important.
It makes it even more scary.
But anyway, that don't want to spoil anything, but it is pretty creepy. I'd encourage people to pick it up. It'll be out in a few days after this episode drops. So it's called Alight, ALIGHT, yes. Because I don't know why I pick the titles I do for short stories. No one worries about that, or at least I don't worry about them very much. So I just pick them, make the cover, and boom, there we are.
Do it!
I had to do it. It was a pre-order, and I didn't know what the story was going to be about.
Not even going to say anything. I'm like, we're just going to it's getting done.
See, this is the kind of guy I am. I'm just a reckless writer.
I was thinking brave. I was thinking more brave than reckless, because that takes
okay.
That takes definitely a level of like commitment and strength that I'm like, I don't know if I'm prepared for all of
that. Well, have you ever read any Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Yes.
Any of that kind of thing?
I love it.
Okay. Do you remember the names of the galactic space fleet battleships?
Vaguely. Why?
The daring, the audacity, and the suicidal insanity.
That would be.
Now that's I'm somewhere somewhere on that spectrum, maybe.
I like it. You have things to build up to, so it can work.
Right. I don't think I'm quite at the suicidal insanity stage yet, but I'm getting there. No.
I think we had a writer that describes other authors. I think it might have been Stephen King as a bunch of gamblers, because that's what writing is. Either Stephen King or Elizabeth Gilbert, I think, describe writing as a gambling career, or a bunch of addicted.
I'm pretty sure. I think that's Gilbert. Actually, that's cool. Yeah. I guess it could be King, but I don't think I don't remember that one.
I think it might be Gilbert.
Yeah, probably. That's Big Magic and
Jesus.
Waterfall.
Big Magic.
What's her other stuff?
Eat, Love, Pray.
Eat, Pray, Love. Yeah. For some reason, I was thinking Water for Elephants, and I'm like, that's not it.
It's not her. It could be, but not her.
No, I got mixed up. For a second there. But I do like elephants a lot, so that's why that book's never far from my mind as far as titles go.
It's a good title.
Yeah. Come on. Every elephant wants water, and all right-thinking people want elephants to be happy. So there you go.
I like it. I like that leap. I'm with you. It's like, what? Huh?
I mean, I hate to make a generalized statement there, but I mean, not really, because elephants need water.
That's pretty on point.
And this has got to be this has got to be the craziest episode I've done as far as my attitude since I did that episode on 2 hours of sleep a few years ago. That was brutal and crazy.
Why?
Because I pulled an all-nighter the night before, and I'm like, I might as well just go.
Were you trying to do a short story?
No, that was a novel.
Oh, so much better. Totally.
I was editing. I was editing it.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I think that was. I edit the novel, and that doesn't make a lot of sense to do as an all-nighter because then you're delirious by the end of it and you can't tell what you're doing. Anyway, so that didn't work out the best. So this is me. I'm insane, especially at this time of night. I'm normally not a night person, you know.
So why are we doing this at this time again?
Because I had another podcast scheduled for this afternoon. Anyway.
I'm good. We're all good. Track.
No, I'll stop now. I'll stop being so silly. I'll ask you some serious questions. Okay, some real questions this time.
Okay.
When did you start writing fiction? What did you cut your teeth on?
So background is in short stories. I started literally doing film and television. That's my background. That's what I went to school.
Ooh, cool.
I actually started doing novels probably 7 years ago. Since making films and TV is fairly expensive, I had a fairly legit job that wanted me to be there, 9 to 5, kind of show up every day. And I found myself, and I kind of joke about it now, that I was kind of miserable. Like, I hated everything that I was doing. I was just not finding a way or an outlet to actually be creative. And I found myself a summer just literally crying in my spiritual director's like house, and I'm bawling. And I was like, she's like, what can you do? And I'm like, I could write a book. She's like, write the book. I'm like, but who's going to read it? And every author has like the 500 list of all the reasons we can and we should and we haven't. And I ran out of excuses. Like that summer, there was no other excuses. I was miserable. Nothing was happening.
Oh, that part's not great. But yeah. Hey, but the opening up, then getting to the writing though, yeah.
It forced me to stop.
That part, cool.
Yeah, it forced me to stop finding excuses and running around and just to sit down and start writing. So Death's Intern is my first novel published. To go all out in terms into the urban fantasy world and just have some fun. And then the reality came, like, what do you do with this book? Like, what am I going to do with this? Because I wrote this book, got this book published, and they're like, now what? Like, there was no plan. There was no thought process whatsoever. I found that I really love just novel writing and just fiction and just being lost in that world. Then I needed a plan. That's the catch. Like, once you write the book, then you need a plan. I'm like, and what's the next step? I didn't even have a Facebook account. Let me put it that way. So people was like, how am I going to find you? I was like, what are you talking about? I'm here. So yes, an entire journey started of things that I hadn't even thought about. Like, hey, you should promote this book. That should be very helpful.
That sounds so relaxing, not having a Facebook account. Or any other social media either, I presume.
I had nothing. Like, literally, I had nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Because like, you wouldn't have Instagram if you didn't have Facebook, that kind of stuff. I'm not sure if Instagram was even a big deal 7 years ago. I wasn't on it then. And I'm not now, really. I just have an account attached to my Facebook account.
No, I literally had nothing that I can tell you. Like, I had a link in for, like, the job, day life, and then I canceled that because I didn't care. So, trying to start and then I started a Facebook with the name of the book, which got hits right away because it's called Death's Intern. So people wanted to be, and I was like, what happens if I literally do other stuff? So I had to restart. Many mistakes were done in the promotion of that book.
Oh yeah, no, that sounds. I mean, not that. That's a different one that I've heard from many people, but but mistakes are very common. A variety of them are like I made so many mistakes. I'm thinking back on it, and I'm like, yeah, every book that when I launched, every book that had a chance of doing well, I had totally butchered it somehow. I botched every launch so far, pretty much. It's great. It's good. That's how you end up with 21, 22 books out and not really any success.
You're building a backlist. That's what somebody told me.
Absolutely, and I'm actually I'm feeling pretty positive about it right now. Just a minor mishap, temporarily inconvenienced prolific writer here.
Just think plot twists. A bunch of plot twists in there. So you got to think about it.
Yes. The next twist is going to be the one where I start making money, hopefully.
I like that plan.
Yeah, we're gonna make that the next twist. Anyway, no, but that's really interesting. So you kind of just started writing almost in isolation completely. Then that's really interesting.
It was probably the most
isolation from like the internet and stuff.
I didn't tell anybody. Yeah. So it became interesting because I was writing a book without telling even the people around me. So I literally
secret book.
It became the secret book in my house that nobody knew about. I didn't go out for like 3 months because I literally crammed this baby out. And people honestly thought, like, when I started telling people, I can't because I'm writing, people just thought I was dissing them. Like, I was just ignoring them. I was like, I have never heard that as a line to get out of going on a date. They're like, I thought you were just lying. I'm like, cool. Who does that? I was like, I don't know. I never heard that one before, but I thought you were just ignoring me. I'm like, wasn't ghosting you by telling you I was writing. So, yes.
That's a legitimate excuse. People need to take note.
It was very confusing.
Legitimate business.
Yeah. Now nobody questions it. They're like, do you have time to talk? I'm like, yes, I still have a life. I promise. Thank you. But
yeah, some writers still manage to have a life. Not me, but other people. No, actually, I do all right.
It's a balancing act. We have to balance that.
Exactly. It can be difficult, but the biggest thing I have trouble with is keeping employed and writing. But that's okay. I got this new job starting. I'll be a week into it by the time this podcast drops. So yeah, I'm excited about it, and it's writing related. I'm be a reading tutor.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. It starts, and I'm excited about it. And like they sent me the computer. It's wow, it just got real. I don't know why I need a computer to be a reading tutor, but okay.
You got me there.
I'm at a school. I work at a school, so whatever. I don't know. I'm a little stumped. I've never worked in education before. So
I have to send you emails, and you got to correct some papers. I'm sure you got to send emails back and forth. So you need a computer.
Ah, gosh, they didn't tell me I was going to have to correct papers. Maybe this job is not going to turn out as well as I was hoping.
You'll be fine.
No,
you'll be fine. You got this.
Yeah. It'll be. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if somebody has read Jude the Obscure as many times as I have, they can definitely teach some kids, some third graders, how to read books. Yeah,
you got this.
I mean, Jude the Obscure is a book that I would rather I had never read, and I read it like 4 times.
Why?
I was an English major. I don't know why I picked that one, but I was glutton for punishment back then. It's kind of like when they talk about, or I think it was in Stephen Pressfield's War of Art, like where he was talking about the Marine Corps, and it's like how they boast about having the worst food, the most casualties, the toughest training, all that stuff. It was like that for me back then, except it was book related. So I'd read the worst novel ever created, potentially. The one that ended its author's novel career. I read that more than I read any other book in college.
We should talk. Like, this is the kind of stuff we should talk. Like,
I should probably have I am looking for a therapist anyway, but someone in Minnesota. Anyway,
it will help.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I could. Yeah, maybe it's possible. I didn't fully recover from that whole English major thing yet, so I need to work on that. But I mostly bring that up because it's funny. I just think. I mean, and Jude the Obscure is a pretty nasty book, pretty scary book. Not like in the sense of it being a horror book. It is literary fiction. It's just really depressing.
See, I try to avoid depressing books nowadays. I'm like, I don't have enough time.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, like I said, I read that book 4 times, but I haven't read it in 10 years.
Good.
Or more.
Keep it that way.
So it's firmly in the rear view and fairly distant at this point.
That's a good thing. Let's keep it that way.
Yeah. And I do projects on it and shit and stuff. You know how it goes. I read Frankenstein a bunch back then, too. Frankenstein's a much better book than Jude the Obscure.
I like. There's hope somewhere.
It turns out the monster here is me. No, anyway, the monster in this podcast is me. I'm the scary thing here. My life is a mess. But anyway, there you go. So thank you so much for joining me on this episode, DC. And it's not quite over yet, but I want to let people know that now normally the show is a little bit better organized than this. Not a lot better, but a little bit better. So perhaps, DC, anything you want to say about the Halloween spirit, I guess?
Halloween is actually probably one of my favorite holidays. And I usually kind of joke about it since I now live in East Texas, which is not something they celebrate in many places. Originally, when I moved from Dominican Republic, moved to Salem. So Halloween has been one of those holidays that I've always there's something just fun and just exciting about it. And, it's right between, you get Halloween, and then you get the Day of the Dead. So there's all this magic within the air. And it's just kind of, you get to be a little kid again.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. I like actually, even at my old job, which was at UPS, people would come in. You were allowed to wear a costume on Halloween as a preloader. So you'd be loading cars dressed up as like whatever.
That's awesome.
I wanted to come as a FedEx guy. I want to go as a FedEx guy sometime because UPS and FedEx are kind of rivals in these parts.
That's awesome. You know that. That would be amazing.
But I didn't manage it. Unfortunately. But I wanted to. It was still, and I did joke about it. I was like, yeah, we'll do it. We'll go as a FedEx guy. Maybe with a mask like the guy from The Dark Knight Rises, Bane.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was my. I should dress up for Halloween sometime soon again. It'd be fun.
It should be fun.
I haven't done it. I haven't done that in a while. Like since I was a kid, probably. I was just like, oh, I'm a grouch now. I'm an old grouchy guy with a big beard. As soon as I turned 20,
it's okay. I started dressing up again to pass candy on my neighborhood.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
It was fun to get all dressed up. My sister-in-law did it with me. We did I think it was Snow White kind of theme. So it was kind of fun just to sit. We had music playing the whole 9 yards. So it's exciting. It's fun to see just kids walking around and just dressed up. And parents with them. I think that was even more amazing to me because they were there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I'm actually leaning toward as possibly maybe I might even be able to do this year. Just shave the beard down to a stubble, and then wear a white shirt and blue pants and be Homer Simpson.
Oh my God, that'd be hysterical.
Homer Simpson with glasses. I'd be the nerd Homer Simpson because I can't see anything without these.
Keep the glasses.
But there you go. Yeah, they stay. They stay. You just have to imagine without them. No.
It's okay. Just keep
the people, just imagine I even have the two little hairs on top. I just naturally have that. No, anyway. So DC, thank you so much.
It's been such a pleasure
joining me on this episode. It's been fun. Thank you for entertaining my madness. And thank you so much. Tell people where they can find you and what your books are.
You can find me easiest place. Curse by Fur is actually on Kindle Unlimited, so check out Amazon for that one. So it's available there. You can check out my website, dcgomez-author.com, to find my socials. If you're interested in, I'm really bad at social media, but if you're interested in connecting, I can try. This is my goal. It's just to try to connect in social media, since I haven't managed.
And I will try to dress up as Homer Simpson. Yes, wonderful. All right, so we have a pact here, I think.
We can do this.
All right. Yes. All right, DC. Thank you so much. And as for this podcast and for me, you can find us find more of my show on the Libsyn feed, the RSS. So you're going to have to just search liveafterreading.rss. You'll find it. But it is also available wherever fine podcasts are downloaded, and less fine ones too. And and you can find my website at timneedawriter.com. That's as in spelled, if you need a writer, it's spelled like that. Anyway, not like my name is actually spelled, because my name is old German bullshit, and it is kind of hard to say. I mean, to spell. It's easy to say if you know how it's said. Anyway, that's enough of that. Have a good Halloween, everybody. Happy Halloween. Up and away, all that stuff. See you at Christmas time. No, bye, everybody.